I wrote a book 30 years ago about what it takes to become a president. And it was all about presidential ambition. But the page 1 introduction starts off by saying, if you want to be president, the one thing you need more than anything else is luck. And for most of our history, it was the luck to have been born white, male, and Protestant. And it also helped if you had a lot of money in your family, because we've only had actually a handful of log cabin presidents. All the rest were either upper middle class or they were just out and out rich. Like George Washington was probably the richest man in America when he was running for office. So what about that? That excludes being a woman politician. Most women never had a prayer. They just never had a prayer. And until the 1970s, women were basically second-class citizens in America. You couldn't serve on a jury in many places if you were a woman. If you got pregnant, your business where you were working could fire you. You couldn't get a credit card unless your husband in many states said, yes, honey, you can have a credit card in your name and I'll sign the form that allows you to do that. Wow. And to think that that was only in the 1970s, you know, and to me that was when I was in high school heading off to college. Wow. And now we have a person who's the nominee of a major political party. In fact, in 2016 we had one, and now we have one again. But what she's running against has been misogyny. She didn't want to talk about it because it wasn't a good look for her in this election cycle, but it's real. I wish journalists had talked about it more because it was very real, but because she didn't talk about it, journalists didn't really talk about it. But it's very, very real. Barack Obama, here's a story I like to tell. Barack Obama, when he was running for president, he basically made a deal with Americans. He said, you're tired of being accused of being racist. Well, you know what? Vote for me and you're proving you're not a racist. And you know what? 4 million white guys who had voted for Barack Obama also turned around and voted for Donald Trump. That's fascinating when you think about it. I mean, that shouldn't be. Now, with Kamala Harris, she could not do the same approach as Barack Obama. She couldn't go around and say, hey, I'm a woman, and if you want to prove that you're not a misogynist, vote for me. Why couldn't you do it? Because we don't deal with misogyny in this country. We've dealt with racism for half a century, since the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But we still haven't been dealing with misogyny. So it's kind of subterraneous. It's in the culture. We know that it's there, but we don't want to deal with it. So she could make that appeal. She couldn't say, vote for me and you're not a misogynist. That doesn't even compute to us. Vote for me and you're not a racist. That appeals, that makes sense to us.